Fleming. I'm a Marianist sister, and I'm the chair of the Department of Sociology, Anthropology, and Social Work here at the University of Dayton. On behalf of the UD community, I want to welcome the Nuns on the Bus Ohio tour. As a Catholic and Marianist university, we are proud to support this initiative of Catholic sisters to engage politicians of all stripes to make real progress in caring for the 100%, as Sister Simone Campbell said. Today, Catholics all over the world reflected on a daily scripture in the Eucharist from St. Paul, which said we must be, quote, mindful of the poor, which is the very thing I was eager to do, end quote. Yesterday and earlier today, my department has hosted 2 guests from the Poverty Initiative of United Theological Seminary in New York to work with our students to understand the complexities of poverty and to be engaged in scholarship for change. Tonight we have our post-graduation volunteer fair from 7 to 9. In KU Ballroom. Marianist education is all about transformation and building a world where no one is left out. So it's very appropriate that we welcome you here today, and we thank you so much for being here. Let me first introduce Sister Mary Wendelin, who participated in the original Nuns on the Bus tour in June. She's a native of Dayton and a graduate of the University of Dayton, I think. Yes. Several of our speakers are graduates of UD, myself included, with a master's. She's a native, she has been a Precious Blood sister for 53 years and currently lives and ministers with the Latino community in Cincinnati. She served as an educator, a service provider, and an advocate for those who live outside the margins of society in Ohio, Arizona, Washington, D.C., and the West Bank. She lobbied on the local and national level for restoration of food stamps and Medicaid, comprehensive immigration reform, and peace with justice in Palestine and Israel. In April 2012, Sister Mary received the Cesar Chavez Award for her work with the Latino immigrant community in Cincinnati. Let's welcome Sister Mary.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. It is an absolute pleasure as a graduate of this university to be back here. And also as a graduate of the University of Louise Acres, is also one of the alumni also. We have just come from Cincinnati, where we had a rousing send-off last night and a beautiful prayer service, so inclusive of everyone, so inclusive of the needs of our society and those at the margins. And then this morning, we had a listening session where we listened to people from housing projects, people in parenting classes, people whose loved ones had died because of lack of health care and lack of insurance. People who had been incarcerated and came to a certain place, St. Augustine's in Cleveland, where they tried to get their lives together, and they had this support as a single father with his 6 daughters, trying to make it in this world of ours. Then we went on to see a project that's out of a trailer. It's called Healthy Moms and Babes. This is health care for women who are uninsured, moms who are pregnant, moms who really have a hard time getting their Medicaid and getting through the system because of language or other barriers. And so we're here to say that you are the future, and you are the ones that are going to help us to carry out the mission of the gospel, to make sure that's inclusive in our rhetoric, the most vulnerable in our society. And it seems to me by the the programs here at the university and all of the outreach work that you do, you are going to do that. And we need you to partner with us in order to make this a better society. And now I'd like to introduce Sister Leanne, excuse me, I'm sorry, Louise Akers, who would like to say a few words.
As Mary said, I'm also a graduate, got my master's in theology from University of Dayton, and it was at a time when I was discouraged from doing it because women didn't do those things at that time. That was in the early 70s. So I said when I grow up, I want to be a theologian. So I am. With what has already been said, one thing that comes to my mind that I just like to raise questions that the bishops raised in their pastoral on economic justice for all. And when you think about what Mary just described that we heard this morning and today, they raised three questions in the introduction of their pastoral letter. And by the way, I've been doing justice education and advocacy for 45 years. So a lot of that's been focused on experience, lived experience, and also Catholic social teaching. So in the Catholic social teaching pastoral letters, they say, what does the economy do to people? What does the economy do for people? And how do people participate in it? And we need to change the way people participate in our economy. Thank you.
I'm Leanne Jablonski, a Marianist sister, scientist, educator, and pastoral minister. I'm honored to direct the work of the Marianist Environmental Education Center, to be part of our Marianist Social Justice Collaborative, UD's Growing Sustainability Energy Environment, SEA initiative, and to be part of Ohio's Clean Air Coalition, coordinating the Ohio work of the Union of Concerned Scientists, and a double UD grad. As a plant ecologist and climate change scientist, I have been disheartened when we don't follow the moral imperative of being good stewards of God's creation. And I am especially concerned about the impacts of our environmental choices, our consumption and industrial pollution on the health of all of us, and especially the disproportionate impacts on the low income and most vulnerable. I am proud of our U.S. bishops, Blessed John Paul II and Pope Benedict, who call us to live in integrity with all God's creation, to remember our special responsibility in our use of material things, so we are not polluting our water and air. For clean air, clean water and food are a right for all of us. We cannot live without it. Our resources are limited, so we need to use them in a way that allows regeneration, growing new trees, and using them sustainably, prudently, so they last as long as possible. Lack of attention to any part of our ecosystem will cause harm to other elements of God's creation. Our government budget and policies must ensure a healthy environment and healthy people for generations to come. Scientific academies and organizations, including the Union of Concerned Scientists, have synthesized data that show us that due to our human activities of burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal, global carbon dioxide is rising. This heat-trapping gas is a blanket, and our planet is warmer, melting ice caps, raising the ocean, increasing frequency of storms with their floods, disease, and moldy buildings in the aftermath, displacing peoples. Heat waves and death of the aged, young, and sick, and causing environmental refugees whose island communities are sinking, and salt-infused soil can no longer grow crops needed to survive. This nation is the largest contributor to global carbon dioxide. We must take responsibility for our impacts and influence. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said impacts would be most on those who have done nothing to contribute to this: the poor, indigenous, the vulnerable. In response to this Science of Climate Change and Impacts report, our U.S. bishops called us to the virtue of prudence, which in this case means not to be cautious, but to act. So we must act, reducing this pollution and creating a cleaner, healthier environment. Monetary cost, convenience, and industrial expansion are all inadequate justifications for our ecological negligence. I believe we can find solutions that will be good for our people and planet's health, as well as our economy. I resonate with Network in urging our government to invest in transportation, residential and business construction, and infrastructure development that is more green, conserving energy wasted and using more renewables, wind, solar, and geothermal. These investments not only help our environment, but benefit the economy as a form of job creation. Ohio is a leader in technology innovation. Our engineering school and programs are wonderful leaders. Let us channel efforts to renewable energy and renew the production tax credit. Lay off steelworkers who work in the wood turbine sector. We need rehabilitating and retrofitting of public housing and buildings so they will become energy efficient. That there will be cool-down places in summer and places warmer in winter for the poor and those whose health is vulnerable. The Environmental Protection Agency is charged with keeping our air clean for all of us, and yet sectors of government are threatening to block or undo its work. We must uphold the Clean Air Act, reducing the pollution from coal-fired plants that is increasing mercury in mother's breast milk and damaging the young and unborn. Why not reinvest in wind production to give incentive to our innovation and reduce our reliance on polluting coal plants? We in Ohio are among the top states per capita in U.S. carbon emissions and a major emitter of toxins. We must take responsibility. Such care for God's creation is part of our pro-life issues, as healthy people are not separate from a healthy environment. As Marianist sisters and members of our great Marianist family, our founders, Adele Chaminade and Marie Therese, 7 generations before us, called us to a global vision of solidarity, dreaming of a church and world where no one was left out. They have left us our mission today. We call on our current government, our presidential and other candidates to acts of wisdom and charity, finding a way to justly share resources and ensure the poor and vulnerable are not even more negatively impacted. 7 generations from now, in this plaza, I want our UD and Marianist families and all our sisters and brothers of Dayton and Ohio's future to look back at us through clear skies and a beautiful green earth and blue waters, knowing that our generation worked together to find solutions to ensure there is clean air, water, a healthy environment in Ohio and our entire planet. For we follow the legacy of our biblical ancestors, our saints and founders, and great peoples of this continent who took care of God's creation and will continue from generation to come forever and ever. I now introduce Sister Fran Repka.
I'm Fran Repka. I am a sister of Lucy, and thank you. I am not a graduate of the University of Dayton, and I think I might have missed something from that. As Catholic sisters, we serve those who are vulnerable, those who fall through the cracks, the marginalized. All of our foundresses founded our orders for that reason, and we try to continue that ministry and that mission. Myself, I am a psychologist by profession, and I'm connected with a center called Mercy Professional Services, which is a service for the uninsured, the underserved. And let me tell you just one story that's not atypical. It is a common story coming from our center. Just last week, and I don't think I'm violating any confidentiality in telling this story and have actually permission to tell the story. It was a family of 5. They were doing quite well, making it, didn't have a lot of extra, but the father of the family lost his job. Subsequently, he lost his insurance for the family, health insurance. His wife had a job as a receptionist, not much money coming in. They had 3 children, all in grade school. The mother was in an auto accident, making her very laid up to take care of her family, but she struggled to do that the best she could. The father tried to find a job, but he did find some minimal income, but it wasn't enough to serve and to provide for this family of 5. Subsequently, he became ashamed that he couldn't do this for his family. His self-esteem was low, etc. The children did less well in school because there was starting to be a lot of stress in the family. It was the wife who called our center because her husband was suicidal. And so we tried to help the family just to survive emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, until they could get a hold of it. This is not an uncommon story today. It is everywhere, and you've heard the stories too. So I think there's a lot of work to do, as the previous speakers have said and have related to you. And I thank you for all you're doing for outreach. I do hear some good things about what students are doing here. And it's most appreciated if any little bit we can do to help each other to build community. We're all in this together. Hopefully, we all focus on the common good. That's where we have to go. We can make any kind of wonderful country we want, where all the people are served and nobody gets left out. We can do it. And you're starting to do it, and I hope you continue to do it. Thank you. And now I'd like to, and I have the privilege of introducing 2 of your students, Amanda Newlove and Cara McNamara, would you come up here?
Hello everyone, I'm so glad that you're all able to make it out today. My name is Cara McNamara. I'm a senior English and psychology major, and I'm so excited that the Nuns were able to come on campus. There's so many of us that right now are trying to navigate this election season, trying to figure out how to make our vote count and how to factor our Catholic identity into this. So it really does feel like God's timing. There are some formal opportunities on campus for us to talk about this, like the PFLS dinners or table of plenty lunches. And there are just so many informal discussions going on right now too, and I'm sure the sisters are just continuing to add to our understanding of this. I think that it's so relevant to what UT is all about, whether it's faith and justice class or social inequality, or something that religious organizations or service clubs are looking at, or our summer affiliation program or semester of service. I hear a lot about Catholic social teaching, and in particular, Action for the Poor and Vulnerable. So the sisters' presence tonight is such a great reminder of what we students are learning inside and outside of the classroom. I think that a huge takeaway for me right now is that we have to not only act for the common good, but in particular, vote for the common good. Voting with more than our own benefit in mind. Instead, in that spirit of solidarity, we have to vote with all the people that we students and faculty and staff have met in the course of our lives, especially those that may not be protected by the institutions and system as it stands now. So one of the biggest parts of UD's identity is the Marianist spirit and charism on campus. And for me, that spirit has a lot to do with community. We hear a lot about community, a lot on campus. But somehow it never gets old because I think it really rings true. I think that some of these conversations going around campus lately have centered around quite a bit that community is more than just a Marianist student community or a fraternity or sorority, UDSAP communities, lay Marianists, or even UD in general. So the biggest community that we're all a part of is the human family. And so I think that the values of our faith this is our opportunity to affirm the values of our faith and to care for and love all those that are in our human family. Thank you. My name is Amanda Newell, and I'm a senior sociology major with minors in social work and women's and gender studies. First and most importantly, I want to welcome the Nuns on the Bus to our beautiful campus. With hundreds of students here at UD interested in social justice and fighting for the vulnerable of the country, it is our honor to have this group of women making us a part of their journey. Today I'm going to share a few experiences UD have given me which reflect what these women are working for. From the time I stepped foot on the campus, the University of Dayton has given me countless opportunities to work with disadvantaged populations of Dayton and even across the country. From service learning projects in several of my classes, trips put on by the Centers of Social Concern and campus ministry, to entire summers devoted to these people, UD is a place that certainly fosters the development of the entire person and makes students focus on not only charity but justice. Because of UD, I've volunteered at the Dayton Children's Hospital, homeless shelters, a school in East St. Louis through a breakout opportunity, and made my commitment to be a lay Mariness last spring. In 2011, I participated in the UD Summer Appalachia program. This 9-week adventure opened my eyes to rural poverty and allowed me to live a life of simplicity and sustainability in community with 14 other UD students. We ran a day camp for kids in a teen center and worked at a nursing home. This experience changed my heart and changed my life and showed me how to love those around me. This past summer, I participated in the Semester of Service AmeriCorps program, which gave me the opportunity to work at Life Essentials, a nonprofit in Dayton which helps mentally ill adults and elderly. I had 5 clients who I took out every week in order to get them out of their houses and to experience what each and every one of us get to experience every day. Working with members of this population showed me the importance of seeing the person and not the illness. Currently, I have a social work internship at St. Elizabeth's New Life Center, which is a women's center providing free pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, and post-abortion counseling for women who are suffering the psychological and emotional implications of this decision. All of these experiences have allowed me to focus on solidarity, justice, and the common good, just as this group of women has set out to promote. These experiences have left me thirsty for justice and have really challenged me to examine the larger structural issues going on in our country. This group of religious is speaking out against funding cuts which will affect every person I have had the pleasure of working with, who rely on these dollars in order to receive medication and support. As a member of a community that focuses on social justice, the Nuns on the Bus are a perfect breathing example for us of how to speak out against injustices rooted in policy. Again, thank you for making UD a part of your journey, and may you continue to inspire those working for justice. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Sister Monica McGloin.
Thank you. Don't worry, I'm not going to read this to you. Hi, I'm Sister Monica McGloin. I'm a Dominican Sister of Hope. And I want to tell you, looking out at you, I am filled with hope. Because the fact that you're here, that you care, just makes me feel hopeful. Because I know that you are the future. And I know that you will have the power to change the world. You have the power to change the conversation. And so I want to thank you for being here and thank you for caring. You know, our tour is really about that. It's about refocusing the conversation. Many of you, I'm sure, watch television once in a while, and you may see some of these ads. You know, we're being inundated, we here in Ohio, with a lot of negative ads, both parties. We hear information, we don't know what to make of it, we really don't know what the truth is. And that is not helpful. So what we wanted to do was refocus, look at the values, look at what we know to be the truth. And so we decided to visit different places in the state. to hear from people like you, to hear from people that are very poor, to hear from organizations that serve the poor. What is your experience? What are you seeing? What are your concerns? And what are your hopes? What do you value? And so that's why we set out on this. And you've heard from people already about some of the places we've already visited, or places where they've worked, some of your students, and what they see. And what we know is that these programs need public support. They cannot survive without some public support, which means government money, which means taxes. So that's the reality. And what we want to do is lift this up as the truth that we know. We don't hear anybody in either party talking about the poor. But if we read the gospel, that's all Jesus talked about, was the poor, and about the need for us to care for and about one another, and to build community, to be a community, no one left out, caring always for one another. And so that's what we want to raise up while we travel through the state and raise up today, is this call for us to be the beloved community and to live what we say we believe, to live our gospel values in our everyday life, which means not ignoring the needs of others. And what this document is a faithful budget. Now, this budget was put together by Protestants, Catholics, Jews, and Muslims. And they didn't do it easily. They worked very hard. They came to some points where they couldn't go on and they had to take a break, but they did finally do it. And this budget does meet the test. This does reflect our Catholic social teachings. So what we want to do is encourage you to go online and go to thefaithfulbudget.com. .org. See, I knew I'd make a mistake. Faithfulbudget.org. Get on there. You can see the whole budget if you have a lot of time and you want to read it. But they also have a great summary. So read that, because that budget does reflect what we say we believe, and it does reflect our Catholic social teaching. And then we want to encourage you to join the movement. You know, support this budget, because no matter who we elect, no matter what happens next month, we need a budget that is going to care for everyone, not a budget that is going to reward some and take away from others, and certainly not a budget that's going to take away from the poorest to give to the richest. But read this, encourage you to join this movement, and we also want to encourage everybody to get out and vote, because your vote is your voice. And as I said when I began, we can change the world. You can change the world. We can change this country and how we are and how we care for and about one another. And the way we can do that, first, is vote, and then the next day, make sure we hold the people we elected accountable to follow up on our values. Thank you. And I want to invite you to meet us at Flanagan's. You want to go there, because that's where we're going.